Hello and good morning, and yes, you are back with the crew. I am happy to be back with you guys. Chilling on the property here, doing my thing. I am not going to make an apology, but this video is a bit late. It's meant to be here yesterday. I was in the middle of the process, and then you know how the process goes. Right when you got a 10 perfect 15-minute video, and then, dogs. You know what I'm saying? Dogs. Let's just leave it at that. Right. So, today's video, as you can probably tell in the title, I want to talk about evaluations. Now, we had our nice little pump. We're at 250 when I'm making this video, 245, 250 with XRP. That's a fantastic number. I like that it's leveled off. I like that we've dropped down into position number 4. I'm not panicking. Nobody's selling anything. I want to address that selling right now. I have people that have contacted me and they feel terrible that they have sold some coins at $2 and $2.50. I did videos about this. If you've sold some coins at $2.50 because you needed the money, or you've been in this ride a long time, I just wouldn't sell a lot of your bag at this point. But that's me. You can do whatever is important to you. But do not sit there and say, oh, wow, it went to $5 now and I'm a loser and a fool. We've gone over that many times. You needed that money now for whatever it is. Just make sure it's only, 10 or 15% of your bag maybe at this point. Anyway, I wanted to address that because I have people that are like, feeling upset of taking their money off the table that they put into it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a very sound strategy. Okay, let's get that out of the way. I'm talking about evaluations now because when XRP becomes popular, number 3 coin on the board, there's evaluations going on behind every door. I don't know if you heard, Michael Saylor was meeting with Microsoft and Apple and all the rest of it, and they only gave him 3 minutes time, and I know everybody was complaining about that and the rest of it. Look, they already knew what he was going to say. They already know what he's going to say. I know they should have given him more than 3 minutes. I mean, that's really kind of ridiculous because I've been in some of those board meetings. They're comical at best. They'll talk about, they put new pavers in the driveway for 15 minutes. So it was a bit absurd, but on the other hand, they already knew what they were going to do. Those people are committed to their concepts. These evaluations that they're doing on crypto right now are a whole different book than they were pre-election. These companies all are in the same boat. They're like, oh, look at the people he's picking. This is all crypto. This is all crypto now. We went from anti-crypto to all crypto. They're in a mad scramble. Corporate right now is doing evaluations, and they're trying to figure out, unfortunately, relics that they are, the dinosaur system in which we all live in. They have these evaluations, and most of them going, well, what is it return on capital? It's like, yeah, well, let's get into that. What do you think it might do when XRP controls, half the movement of all money around the world? I think the profit margin and then is somewhere around $3.5–4 trillion a year. They're making somewhere around $7 trillion a year moving money around the world. I'd say that might be a market you might want to get into. So what are the evaluations of that? Massive. It's a massive opportunity for all of these companies. Yes, I know the commissions and the sales teams are going to go over, well, you're not getting that much money per transaction anymore and this and this and that. I get all that. But what they're not taking into consideration is the fact that there's going to be multitudes of more transactions. Bots are going to transact with bots and like all the rest of it. It's the digital transactional market is so massive going forward. Let's remember, we duplicate or multiply all data about 12 to 18 months. It multiplies. That's not slowing down. All of that is going forward. So when you look at the old school style of, well, how much profit does it make? How many employees do they have? Its metrics are off the charts. The amount of money and the amount of employees that it takes to do such a thing is just absurd. I talk about this all the time, but well, let's look at Michael Saylor took his company from $2 billion to $40 billion, and he didn't add an employee. These are the kind of metrics that these bean counters, for lack of a better term, are in these boardrooms absolutely today saying, well, wait a minute. Okay, it's not Biden. We didn't have to wake him from a nap to teach him what crypto is, right? Of course, we know he wouldn't run the show. And it's not the banker cartel, because they clearly don't like the coin. I tell this story all the time, but it's interesting to me that marijuana is illegal in the United States. It's federally illegal, yet there's over 200 banks that bank marijuana supplying companies. Well, there's no banks backing crypto. Well, lately there's some custodials around, NY Mellon and the rest, but there's nobody just putting their hat in the ring and saying, yeah, we're Mr. Crypto Bank to you, pal. Yeah, crypto is not illegal. That tells you everything you need to know about bankers and the banking system. They don't want it. They don't want it around. They don't know how to profit from it. They're in those boardrooms I'm talking to you about, trying to figure all of that math out. The beautiful part, the conclusions that they will come to, is that we must absolutely invest in this immediately. The other conclusions that they're coming to right now is the beauty of this. Years ago, I did this video about the bubble of crypto. There's no bubble. This is monetary digits. This is coins. These are tokens. There's no downside to it, okay? In other words, let me explain. I've talked to a few people on the phone about this, but it's so important. When banking systems leverage themselves on real estate opportunities up to 90%, right? You only have to put 10% down. They've leveraged for a 30-year, if you're blessed enough to have a 30-year loan, they're leveraging that market to the point where people only have to make minuscule payments every month compared to the debt they owe. That tells you everything you need to know about what the system believes. Hey, we can pump this up as large as we would like. The issue with that is we have the bottom end of the food chain, which is you and I, Joe Sixpack, and we end up saying, well, wait a minute, housing prices because of this is going up, and it's become a bubble asset. Happens all the time. It's a bubble asset in every country you can name around the world. Obviously, that's happening now. The downside of that is that you do not want that to occur in your country, in your land, or on the face of the planet, because they have to raise people's wages to keep up, just to keep people from living in their cars, which they're not doing a good job of. Those are the downside risks. Same problem with food getting too expensive. Same problem with oil getting too expensive. It's beyond me how we found more oil on the planet than we've had in many, many decades, and all of a sudden it's more expensive than it used to be. Why did it go up double? Why does it go down or up at all? I mean, we know exactly how much is coming out of the ground, how much we use. It's very complicated for them to explain why oil or commodities go up the way they do, because we know why. They're simply printing more and more digits. Therefore, there's more digits to spend on the things. But that creates what? More expensive gasoline and power, and for you to drive to work. And now you can't afford a roof over your head. And the next thing you know, they've got to pay you more money. That is the downside of this bell curve that they're on. And they don't like it. And they're trying to avoid it any way they can. So the real estate and oil bubbles that have been created, commodities bubbles around the world, have to be addressed. Well, how do you do that? Well, now all of a sudden you have something that is digital. There's no physical negative negative aspects to the lower income bracket. In fact, it's going to pull a lot of the lower income bracket out of poverty. That's incredible. The world, the face of the planet, has never seen the opportunity that is before all of us right now. I know you know that. And people say, well, it's $250 too expensive for XRP, Allan? I don't know. No. What you want to do is you want to find the top 10 coins, and I talk about them all the time, but the top 10 coins that have use case, that have a market share, that have some bean counter in an office can wrap his mind around why they should spend $1 billion of their net evaluations on this product that is only just digital software. Why would we do that? Well, because it achieves this use case. It's necessary, and it eliminates all these other use cases that are twice as expensive to do. Therefore, it has that much value to the firm and to the people of this planet. That is going to make more millionaires than ever before in the history of man. And like I talk about all the time, it's generationally. It's your boomers, it's your X, it's your millennials, it's your Zs. All of them are going to become millionaires who have invested. I've talked to numerous people who've already made millions of dollars in XRP. That's fantastic. I couldn't be happier for all of us. It's just begun. Now, let me get into why the other reason is that I really believe that this party that is coming into power in the United States has done us all the single greatest gift that they could have ever done was crypto. I just told you why it doesn't hurt mankind. There's no downside risk to you owning XRP to the world. There's no downside to it. Just because XRP goes up in price, somebody might have to pay more money for it. But again, it's a speculative investment. Just because Apple stock goes up doesn't mean anybody that doesn't have Apple stock has to work harder to make up for your shares of stock. So let's get back to what I was talking about. Get back to the, circle the wagon, back to the point every now and then. What happened with BlackRock was very significant in the fact that they went from an ESG company and preaching it and telling everybody that you have to have these carbon credits, you have to have all this stuff, and you'd have to implement all this stuff. They didn't have a game plan. They were simply telling you, as a corporation, you had to spend billions of dollars on this thing just to comply with these rules. That nobody was liking that. Nobody wants some wise ass to walk into your boardroom and tell you that you have to spend $5 billion on something that supposedly might clean the air in the next, 30 years from now. Whether or not you believe in any of that, that's great too. It wasn't significant to the little man. Believe it or not. Making fuel and more expensive and taxation and taxing people was hurting the little man. I know that's hard for people in DC to understand. Seems simple to you and I, but for them it was like, well, let us just tax them. Well, let us tax them on gasoline, and then, well, they got to get to work and they got to get the kids to school and back. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't get that. They don't understand the down the line ramifications of things. Well, now what's different? Well, now all of a sudden Mr. Larry had a brain. I don't know, maybe something hit him in the head or something. I don't know. Who knows? He wakes up out of bed one day and decides, well, crypto. Of course, crypto. So he got orange pilled. Somebody figured it out. Somebody talked to him. I think I know who that was. And then you end up with a guy who says, well, we don't need ESG anymore. You know what we really need? We need these corporations to spend the same $5 billion on crypto. Why? Why? It's a big question. Because of its efficiency. Because when you make things more digitally efficient, you clean the air. You don't need, if you can digitally represent something that takes a tractor to dig it out of the ground and diesel fuel and disturbing all of those things that can be duplicated digitally with tokens and transacted in, there's no downside effect to the little man. We don't have to pay the little man more wage because the little man's going to find a way to AMM these. We're going to figure out ways to earn money with these things. So the future of this technology has only just begun. I'm trying to give you this 40,000 foot view on how corporate and how banking is seeing this product. It's so revolutionary in its brilliance and its perfection that it can't help but succeed. And that's what you've always known. That's what you already knew here. It's not a revolution to you or to me. I'm happy for everybody that's done really well. It's the tip of the iceberg. Countries that have decided that they were going to go green instead of crypto. I'm speaking to you, Europe. Well, your opportunity was before Trump. Now you have to compete with the single largest nation that can print dollars in a category, in a playing field that you now have to compete with. And you can't simply print your own money. You can, but you still owe it back in dollars. And no, the dollar hasn't gone away yet. And until it does, they're going to print money to buy crypto, which is good for you and I. Really bad for all the companies, countries in particular, that were sitting around on their hands trying to fight against or legislate against crypto. You let some orange-haired guy come along who has the tenacity of 10 men and steal your future opportunity. I talked about this over a year ago about how it was London's time to shine. The UK could have really been the dominant factor, just like they did with futures markets, just like they did with the options markets, just like they did with the Forex markets. They were out ahead of Wall Street in all three of those categories. They were gifted this opportunity, and they have squandered this one. It's beyond me. The management of nations around the world, it's beyond me. Well, now you have an entrepreneur as a president who's hiring other entrepreneurs, and he's hiring other people who are coming from the crypto world. You and I we can't even wrap our heads around what that means yet. And the success of it all, it's magnitudes from $2.50. So my advice in this video is do your homework. Pick the coins that have a use case. Pick the coins that have a utility. I'm not just saying utility coins, but I am saying coins that are not, initials dog with hat. There's no way the presidential party is going to sit around and go, well, this dog with hat and this Pepe, we ought to really, let's buy a bunch of that. No, nation states are not going to do that. So I hope you understand what the video was about. It's a high-level banking corporate level of what they're facing. And they're facing a wild card player who's decided to flip the board upside down, bring a whole new board to the table, and say, here's what we're going to make important to the world, to mankind, going forward. And the sweet spot is, you own a bunch of it. That's the sweetest spot of it all. All right, I've let this video go on too long already, but I thought maybe we can get Goldie to say hello. Come on up here, Goldie. Go ahead. Come on, Goldie. Come on up here. Come here. Come on. Oh, we're going to lose the camera for sure. I just thought these they get a little jealous when they have to share time with Dad. But here's my golden girl. I love my little goldie dog. All right, guys. I hope you guys got something from the video. And man, we're all in this together. And if you would like to try and come up with some sort of a tax strategy or something like that, please check into my getting a hold of me. I'm not a tax expert, but I got a couple of angles and some ideas that I really like. Also, please like and subscribe. I always forget to say that. And if you've made it this far in the video, you may want to check out my Patreon, because my Patreon does wonderful things with the money that you donate, but it's also free if you don't feel like donating. That's a possibility as well. All right, guys, I love you all, and I will see you all soon. I'm out. So a friend of mine says, Allan, yeah, I saw your coin got up to like $3. Yeah, that was kind of cool. You know, we were sitting around talking about that about a year ago, and well, it's the first time in my lifetime I actually took a friend up on it, and I bought $10,000 worth of that. And thanks, man. I tripled my money and I sold it. And then it proceeded to go up another $1.50. And I was like, yeah, that's crypto. I guess you didn't listen to the other videos where I told you, don't sell it all. Whatever you do, don't sell all of it.